Peace and blessings, people. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we take deep dives into how we live a more holistic, natural, and healthier, happier lifestyle. For those of you, this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It keeps me inspired to continue this message on sharing with people how to live more natural, more holistic, and a more natural approach to healing and health. Okay? So today we're going to be talking about how do I eat healthy on a budget? Because that's one of the big rebuttals that I get when I tell people to eat healthy or use food as medicine to actually heal and maintain their health. And so we're going to take a deep dive into that, and I'm going to explain to you why actually eating healthy saves you money. And then we're also going to go into 7 tips on how you can save money at the grocery store, at the farmer's market, when you're on that whole foods plant-based diet. Okay, so let's get started. So the first things first, I have been on this journey for 12 years. So I went plant-based in 2011, roughly 2010, and it all started with me wanting to heal myself. Okay, I had got diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was 16. I lived with it for over a decade. And then finally working in a hospital, I started to see people like myself who were in their late 20s, early 30s, who were having heart attacks and strokes. So it scared the life out of me. And I said, I got to get my stuff together. Also, which is really important, I felt like a hypocrite. I was in the hospital telling people to eat healthy, telling people that they need to do better with their lifestyles, and I wasn't doing. So I figured I needed to get my lifestyle together, get my health together, and then I'll be more inspired to show people the way that I actually lived. Okay, so that started 12 years ago. And I'll tell you, I have learned a lot of things in this 12-year journey. So most importantly, you need to know, even for yourself, it is going to be a journey, okay? Because eating healthy is not part of our culture, okay? Especially in first world countries like America and Europe. It is not part of the culture, especially in America. America food is banned in Europe and Japan and China and other countries as well, okay? So it's not ingrained in our culture here. And because it's not ingrained in our culture, it makes it very easy for us to eat unhealthy, okay? And so what I'm going to teach you today is some of those things to explain to you why the idea around eating healthy, like when people say I eat good, what they really mean when they say that, they say that really means that they ate bad. Okay, so when somebody says, oh, I eat good today, they really mean they ate bad. Okay, so I want to reframe that for you, okay, and help you understand also why so many people think that when you eat healthy, that is going to rob your bank. Like you're going to lose all your money once you start eating healthy. So I'm going to break that down as well. So let's jump into that first. How eating healthy or eating a whole foods plant-based diet actually saves you money. Okay, first things first. You eat less, okay? The more plants you eat, the less you eat. And I know that some people are looking at me right now through the video thinking to themselves, man, I think vegans eat nothing but ice and lettuce, okay? I know you've seen the videos, okay? But the truth of the matter is I eat nothing like that. When you see my meals, I mean, it looks like a full meal. That's the first thing. But the other most important thing is this. The more healthy you eat, which means that you eat more plants, it's going to make you fuller quicker, okay? And here's why. Plants have fiber in them. Meat, dairy, processed foods do not have any fiber, okay? The other thing that plants have in them, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, is that they are nutrient dense, meaning they have a lot of nutrients for a small amount of calories. Now, here's why that's important. When you eat food, you swallow it, it goes into the stomach. 2 things make a signal to the stomach to say, hey, I'm full, it's enough, okay? The fiber, okay? And then the nutrients, okay? Fiber pushes on these proprioceptors inside of the stomach and say, okay, enough fiber. This means that they've ate enough plants. This means that they should be full, okay? So that's the first thing. All right, first things first, you gotta eat plants. Plants are the only foods that have true fiber in them, okay? You eat enough fiber, you're going to be full. In America, we eat around 30 grams or less, okay? In some countries in Africa, they're eating 100 grams of fiber every day. And when you eat that amount of fiber, it is not only gonna make you full, but it's going to make your gut very healthy because fiber is the food for the good bacteria in our guts. The more fiber you put in your diet, the more you feed the good bacteria in your gut, the better the good bacteria in your gut, or the more that's present, the healthier you're going to be. 70 to 80% of our immune system is made by the good bacteria in our gut, amongst other things. Okay, so eat plants. So the more you eat plants, the less you will eat. The less you eat, the less you have to spend on food. Okay, it just works that way. All right, and especially the less you'll eat, once you actually get cleansed and your body detoxifies, you get the toxicity out of the body, you get the parasites, which I've talked about in several other videos, out of the body. You lower the amount of yeast that is in the body that's causing you to eat so much sugar. Now that your body is clean and detoxified, you're definitely going to eat less because the body really only wants nutrients, okay? It doesn't want a whole lot of food. It wants the nutrients that is actually in the food, because we know that because most of your bowel movement, that's your food that's coming out. The only thing that's extracted out of it is the actual nutrients that is in the food, okay? And the fiber, okay? And most of the fiber comes out on the other end too, okay? So it's really important to understand the healthier you eat, okay, the less you will eat, okay? So that's one way it saves you money. Number two, the healthier you eat, the less medical bills you're gonna have, okay? On average, it costs about $17,000 if you're diabetic, okay? And there's a large percentage of the population that is either pre-diabetic or diabetic, especially here in America, okay? So it saves you less on medical bills, okay? It saves you less on, prescription drugs. It saves you less even on your insurance, okay? Even if you go to get life insurance, okay? Let's say you go out to get life insurance, you have to take a health test, okay? And when you take that health test, part of that will be your weight. Part of that will be asking if you smoke cigarettes. Part of that will be asking or taking your blood pressure, checking your blood sugar. All of these things will determine what your premium will be for your life insurance policy as well too. All right, so you save less on that too. All right, and as I said, less prescription bills, less co-pays, and less time off of work, less time in the hospital, less doctor visits. The list goes on. And the reason why that's so important is because medical debt is one of the highest debts for Americans. Okay, so most people, if you were to think, well, what are the highest debts for people today? And most people would not think medical debt. But when you start to think about the cost of being diabetic, $17,000 a year, the cost of getting cancer, okay, many cancers, which are actually, you can protect yourself from, okay, you can prevent. When you start to think of the cost of cancer, it could be $100,000 a year with some of these medical treatments, especially if you start to get in some of these gene therapies, okay? So think about that. The long term, you gotta look at the investment, okay? Because every day that you eat well, you add wellness to your life, okay? It's like health deposits. You're either making health deposits or you're making health withdrawals, okay? So really important, all right? Eat healthier, less medical bills. It means you're healthier. And it also means that you have a longer, higher quality of life, okay? It's cool to live to 76, but let's say, for instance, you get diagnosed with dementia, which a lot of people are getting diagnosed with dementia in the early 50s, late 40s now, okay? So let's say you get diagnosed with dementia in your early 50s, okay? Then you get diabetes, then you have a heart attack and a stroke. So you live out the remaining 26 years of your life in a state where you're bedridden, you don't remember who your children are. Like, that's not the life to live, okay? So that's what I mean by when you eat healthier, it pays in the long run, okay? So it actually saves you a lot of money, okay? Number three, it creates natural beauty, okay? It creates natural beauty, okay? A lot of people are paying oodles of money for cosmetic and beauty products to make themselves beautiful, both men and women, and also surgeries. Also, people are investing in a lot of things to prevent themselves from aging. Those are becoming big products as well now too. And guess what? When you eat healthier, you age gracefully. Not just age gracefully in terms you get to keep your health, but you look younger. Your skin is more beautiful. Okay, your hair is more healthier, longer. Nails are more healthier, longer. And I can't tell you how much money people spend on hair, nails, and skin. Okay, and all of those things are beautified when you eat a whole foods plant-based diet and your diet is balanced. Okay, so that's another way it saves you a lot of money, because now you're not spending money on all this kind of stuff. Okay, number three, which is really important, is you live longer and happier. Okay, during the pandemic, we discovered that people were lonelier. We discovered that people were more depressed. And the unfortunate thing is, a lot of that loneliness and depression has come even after the pandemic is over. Okay, and the beautiful thing about eating a whole foods plant-based diet, it's been proven. I lived in what was called a blue zone in Okinawa, Japan. And these blue zones are zones or regions around the world. There's only 5 of them around the entire world where people live the longest and they have the highest amount of centenarians, people who live to 100. Okay, so I lived in Okinawa, Japan, one of the zones that has had one of the highest amounts of centenarians historically. And they live happier, longer lives because they eat primarily a plant-based diet, no processed foods, things of that nature. Okay, so you're gonna live longer and happier too. Okay, so that's one of the upsides. You live longer and happier, you're gonna spend much less money. Okay, so just think about it. Longer, happier, healthier, less disease, less money on medications, as I mentioned before, or healthcare, and then less emotional eating. All of these things tie into each other. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump into some of these money saving tips that are going to give you where you can save when you go to the grocery store, the farmer's market, etc. Okay, so plant-based on a budget. Number one thing you could do to help put money back in your pocket: stop eating out. Okay, or at least eat out less. So instead of making a meatless Monday, you need to make it one day a week or twice a week where you eat out. The rest of the days you're preparing your own food. Okay, that will save you a ton of money. I had to learn this for myself personally at the beginning of my journey, because at the beginning of my journey, I was always thinking, well, I don't have time to make my own food. I don't know how to make my own food. And then what I discovered was all the food that I was making before, when I was eating, a meat-based diet, essentially, because every meal I had meat with it. What I discovered was all the things that I was eating was seasoned with plants. Meaning, if I ate the meat without plants, without any type of seasoning on it, it would not taste good. So I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, if the seasoning, all seasoning is plant-based, okay, natural seasoning, well, if that be the case, then it's the plants that make it taste good. So I can, of course, use plants to make my food taste good. So that was my thinking. And so I started making my own recipes, looking up recipes all the time on the internet. And I discovered that, the really cool thing about, getting into the kitchen is that you learn that you can make food, and making your own food is an act of self-love, in my opinion. Okay, so I have a recipe book out. You definitely can check that out. It's Dr. Bobby's Healing Recipes and Remedies. So make sure you check that out. I'll show you that at the end. So start making your own food. And I think you're really, really gonna love that process, because you're gonna get to learn how to make your own food, which means that you're not gonna be out at expensive restaurants who put a price tag on the food that they're making and preparing for you, in addition to the service or gratuity charge that you're also paying for as well too. So that's number one. Stop eating out, start preparing and making your own food. That was a game changer for me. That saved me so much money. Number two, and this is a really, really good one: when you go into the supermarket or the farmer's market, shop for meals, not ingredients. Okay, I'm gonna make it clear what I mean by that. Most of the time, people go to shop for their food. They don't go with a plan. They don't know what meals they're having for the week, and so they go in there just grabbing things. And by the time they get to the cash register, they have grabbed virtually all of the things that were eye-popping to their eyes. And I'll tell you, most people, when they go to the grocery store, well, let me give you this tip. Don't go to the grocery store hungry. If you go to the grocery store hungry, you're going to overspend, okay? And you do not want to overspend when it comes to going to the supermarkets, because what you're gonna experience when you buy ingredients instead of shopping for meals is that you're gonna realize you got a whole bunch of A and C, but no A and B, things that actually go together and make a meal. Okay, so when you go out, you want to shop for meals, not ingredients, because you're shopping with a purpose. Okay, that's hugely important. Number 3 is buy staple items in bulk. Buy staple items in bulk. And what I do is anything like quinoa, chickpeas, um, avocado oil, spelt flour, nuts and seeds, tahini. These things last longer, so they're called staple items. These staple items, I buy them in bulk because they'll last longer than fruits and vegetables. Okay, so I buy them in bulk so they last a little bit longer. And the cool thing is when you buy things in bulk, you get a cheaper price. Okay, let me give you an example. When you go to the supermarket, the farmer's market, and you're grabbing chickpeas, if you buy it in the can, it's actually more expensive than the can versus buying the dried version where you get more than you actually get in the can. So I buy the dry version of the chickpeas, okay? Because A, I get more, and then B, it's not in a can that has BPA, which is an endocrine disruptor, okay, to my body, causing imbalances to my hormones. And it's not sitting inside of these preservative like juices that are unhealthy for me as well. So I save money on it, and I save a lot of health in the process as well too. So buy your staple items in bulk, okay? You buy your staple items in bulk, you're gonna save some dough there, okay? Number 4, shop at the farmer's market, okay? Most of my shopping is at the farmer's market. When I say I eat plant-based, I eat whole foods plant-based, meaning most of my meals are one ingredient, okay? What I mean by that is I have quinoa on my plate, then I'll have some oyster mushrooms here that I cooked up real nice. Then I have some avocado. Then I have some stir-fried vegetables, some onions, green peppers, red peppers, etc. Then I might have, some chickpeas on there as well, okay? And so that's what I mean. I have a whole plate that's full, but all of them are literally like one ingredient, okay? And then you add in the spices and the seasoning, voila, I got a whole foods plant-based meal, okay? But all of that, I could buy all of that. Even the staple items, I can buy that at the farmer's market. And the cool thing about the farmer's market is they're gonna be cheaper than a regular supermarket. The supermarkets tend to put a tag on it. And the other thing I really like about the farmer's market is typically they will have more choices for organic, okay? And I tend to buy mostly everything organic, okay? So that's what I love about shopping at the farmer's market. You're gonna save a little bit more money because the farmer's market typically are shopping from local farmers, okay? So local farmers is gonna be more fresh, okay? As opposed to something that came from Mexico. I may be able to get my kale, okay? And it came from, 10 miles away. I may be able to get, my fennel, okay, which is a alkaline replacement for celery. Okay, I may be able to get this there as well too. You may not see this at a regular supermarket, this fennel, okay, which is really good for digestion. Same thing, I may be able to get my dandelion leaf, which I love to use in my green smoothies and juices. I may be able to get it from the farmer's market at a cheaper price, even at organic, prices. Okay, so shop at farmer's market. Number 5, and I mentioned this one earlier, is get the recipe book. So give me a quick second. I'm gonna show you my recipe book. Okay, ducking out of here real quick. Get recipe books. I got maybe 7 or 8 of these. This is my recipe book. You can find on my website, drbobbyprice.com. But inside of there, you got a shopping list, you got tips. And that's what I love about recipe books. You got breakfast tips in there. So you got some of my breakfasts, a chickpea omelet. You got lunch in there, spelt buns, how you make healthy spelt buns in there as well. Butternut chickpea fritters, I even got some West African recipes in there as well too, because I'm all about, you know, being cultured in my heritage. Um, so we got alkaline spicy collards in there. We got some nice got some nice remedies in the back too. So it's a really good cookbook. So getting a cookbook could be useful for you. Even if you don't get mine, you get another one. The cool thing is use a cookbook to get inspired about making your own food. Because as I said, number one, you got to make your own food and stop eating out if you want to save money. Okay. Number 6, grow your own food. Okay. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I live in an apartment where you can have literally herbs growing on the shelf in your window. Maybe you got a window that is in your bedroom. Maybe you got a window in your kitchen, and you can have a herb shelf at the window. Okay, so you can always grow your food even if you don't have a yard. Okay, growing your own food is like printing your own money. Number 7, and this is really important, how you save money is eat foods that are high in fiber and nutrient dense. The more healthier foods you eat, that's why I have these dandelion greens. I eat a lot of nutrient dense food like dandelion greens, like sea moss, things of that nature. And the reason why I eat them is because they give me so much nutrients in a small amount of food that makes my body say, you're full. Okay, so I end up eating less. But eating less doesn't mean that as a result of eating less, I don't get nourished, okay? Because the nourishment is literally the vitamins, the minerals, the trace elements, the amino acids, the healthy fats. And you can get all of those things from plants. Even protein, you can get that from plants. Think about it for a second. Some of the strongest animals in the world, gorillas, rhinos, elephants, an ox. I can go on and on. Some of the strongest animals in the world do not eat meat, okay? All right, most of the meat that people eat, cows, pigs, chickens, lambs, do not eat meat. So if they can get their nourishment from plants, we can get our nourishment from plants too. All right. And the more nourishment we get in a smaller amount of food, eating more nutrient dense food that has more fiber, more nutrients in it, the less we're going to eat, because that fiber, those nutrients are going to tell us we full, because we actually are. Okay. In Japan, Okinawa, when I lived there, we had a saying, or they had a saying that I learned from the Blue Zone population, harahachibu. Harahachibu means eat only to 80%. Okay, don't eat to full, eat to 80%. And it makes sense because our brains have a 20% lag time, which means that when we get to 80%, we're actually full. Okay, now, the last thing I'm going to show you is when you're grabbing food, I'm going to give you some tips. This doesn't necessarily have to do with the budgeting, but this is a great tip because we lost a lot of the things that we've learned about food. It's really important to understand. For me, I personally eat about, I would say like 50% of my diet is fruit, okay? Because I believe that fruit is the original food, okay, for humans, okay? And scientifically, that's proven. It was the first food for humans, okay? And I also believe, especially for those who don't have any sugar imbalances like diabetics, I believe that the more fruit you eat, fruit is made to cleanse the body, okay? So the more fruit you eat, the more cleansing it's gonna be, because fruit has a higher concentration of water in it, which is cleansing in and of itself, but it also is concentrated with a lot of the nutrients that we need as well, especially the nutrients like antioxidants, polyphenols, bioflavonoids, these things that boost our immune system. So a lot of what I eat is going to be fruit. Now, when you eat fruit, you got to understand the very definition of a fruit is the presence of a seed, okay? This is why a avocado is actually a fruit, okay? This is why a tomato is considered a fruit. This is why a cucumber is considered a fruit, because of the presence of a seed. So a lot of the seeds have been removed. So this is like some grapes that I have. And let me show you something. I try to make sure for myself, and as you guys know, I own a farm, a tropical farm in Miami. And as you can see, it has the seeds in it, okay? You can see the seed right there, all right? Try to eat all your fruit with seeds, okay? So that's good. So the farm that we have is a tropical fruit farm. And I was gonna share with you the box that I just received, okay? From the tropical fruit farm that we have in South Florida. Okay, the reason why it's in South Florida, because things that are tropical don't grow above South Florida, okay? It has to be in a tropical climate, and South Florida just so happen to be in a tropical climate. So if you're not familiar with the fruit company that I'm co-owner of, it's iHeartFruitBox. iHeartFruitBox. So you can go to iHeartFruitBox.com, and I'm gonna show you what is inside of the box. We're gonna pop this open. Love it. Share this with you because I think this is a little different. And you'll see when you open your box, it's in this sort of temperature sealant packaging. I'm gonna pop this open really quick. And I'll show you what's on the inside. All right, so when you get the box, look on the inside, you'll see we have these coolant packets in there. This is still cool from being delivered, and I'll bring out a few of the fruit that are in there. All right, so we have a dragon fruit. All right, this one's really sweet. This is a yellow dragon fruit. This is sapodilla. I'll show you a mame and how they look very similar. Okay, so this is a mame. Okay, this is a sapodilla. They almost look similar, but the mame actually looks like a football, okay? So you see how it looks more like a football, it's bigger. This is sapodilla, okay? Also known as nesberry, okay? And we have about 300 or 400 trees of this on the farm. This tastes like brown sugar, okay, as a fruit, okay? All right, we also have longan on the front farm as well. All right, when you crack this open, all right, it looks sort of like a grape. And people love these. Like, these are perfect right before the gym. All right, you can see how that looks. Everything has a seed. Everything has a seed, okay? Remember, that's the very definition of a fruit, all right? This is called black sapote. This is nature's chocolate pudding. And when I say it tastes like chocolate pudding, I'm not kidding. It tastes like and looks like chocolate pudding once it ripens, okay? Have a mango, all right. We have star apple, okay, which is delicious. We have several of those trees. We have cacao. Cacao, this is chocolate. This is where chocolate or cacao comes from, okay? You crack this open, you'll see that there's some like white gelatin pods. After you eat off that white gelatin layer that's on the outside of each of those little pods, which tastes like Jolly Ranchers, by the way. You'll see that pod on the inside of it is cacao, chocolate, okay? And then we have some avocados. Avocado, okay? That one should be ready in a day or so. We also have guava, okay? We have guava growing on the farm as well. And then we also have relationship with other nearby farmers where we share some of our products with them and they share some of their products with us. So this is tree tomato, okay? We also have some key limes as well too. And share with you also, so this is the small box that you see, and this is a variety box. So you get a variety of fruit. We also have these custard apples, which is delicious. This red custard apple, when you crack it open, this literally looks and tastes like strawberry cheesecake. Not joking. And then I showed you earlier this star apple, AKA Caimito, which we have a lot of these trees as well on the farm. I'm gonna cut this down the center and let you see why they call it star apple, okay? So you can kind of see it looks sort of like a star in the sky. So that's why they call it star apple. All right. And this is also a Caimito or star apple, but it's a green one, okay? So that's iHeartFruitBox. Check us out on our farm, Sankofa Tropical Farms. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the unboxing. A lot of people asked if I would do this, so I did it. If you enjoyed this, tell me what aha moment you enjoyed most about the video in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.